Martha Muntz, and I'm here with my daughter Susanna Muntz, and she has 15 years experience plus with intergenerational ministry.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Yeah, nobody wants to feel like they've been put in a box. And the truth is, whenever you sit across from someone, you have to figure out who they are uniquely. That said, stereotypes are often there for a reason and can help just give some access and some insight about where to start. So the first would be the boomers. What do boomers value? Boomers tended to have the same job in the same company for 20 or 25 years. And what they highly valued was having people around them that were predictable and dependable, and they valued that in themselves. They're the people that are planning Christmas in August. They want to know what date we're meeting, what time we're meeting at. It's important to them that they can already know what the plan is and then how to schedule their lives well. So that's the boomers. Then you have Gen X. That's me. But these are people that are currently ages 43 to 58. What's true about Gen X is that they really appreciate flexibility. In their work and career, they were all about the work-life balance. They wanted to know that they could have an identity that was actually much greater than just their job. And Gen X was the first generation that wasn't likely to have the same job for 30 years. They are people that would, at the last minute, change the plans, and they'll explain why that is. But the highest value is, can I respond in the moment to the experience that I'm having? Then you have millennials, and they're people that are ages 27 to 42. Millennials love responsibility and achievement. And here's the angle on that one. Millennials like it when people that are older than them or are in positions of authority take responsibility. Say, I messed up. I didn't do this well. Yeah, it was me. I'm the problem. And they're also millennials value people that share responsibility. They're looking for people in their lives that would say, hey, I think you're pretty good at this. You should consider this kind of role. Hey, how are you leveraging that strength? The millennials love mentors. They love people who will develop them and increase their capacity and their gifts. They're looking for wisdom and insight from other people, but they want it to come through some sense of humility. They're not looking for experts, but they are looking for people who will help them develop their own strengths. So they're looking for responsibility. And then you have Gen Z. So that's people 1997 to 2012. They're ages 11 to 26. They want opportunities for self-expression in particular. So those are the four generations: boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z.
I know the idea here is not for any of us to memorize these, but we think our generation is the best, or people should do things our way. And I'm just wondering if you could speak a little bit to that idea.
I'm supervising someone now who is solidly tail end of millennial. And I am definitely noticing differences between how I would communicate and how she would communicate. So when I'm supervising her and there's something going on, what I want to do is pick up the phone and talk to her in person. The last thing that she wants to do is pick up the phone and talk to me. It's always text. And at the beginning, I really struggled. Even though I'm a person that's familiar with generational difference, I kind of thought, this feels kind of unprofessional. Why is she texting me about something about work? Why not email me or call me? That seems more professional. And we started to talk a little bit about it, but you can hear my judgment about that. Texting is for friends. But for her, what she was trying to do is assess, is Suze busy right now? Does Susanna have a very quick solution to what I'm asking that we could quickly jump on? She wasn't assuming that I would always check my email, which is true. And so whereas I was thinking through, why not go through the more formal channels, phone or email, she was trying to be respectful of my time and my availability. And then only after we've kind of agreed on that would she check in. So it's really easy to make an assumption about somebody else's behavior, to assume their motivation. But what was super helpful was for us to talk it through. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, she's trying to be respectful of my time. She's trying to get things done efficiently. And it's just different.
So can you just touch on the topic of effective communication intergenerationally?
I think the underlying value for any mentor is if you care about someone, you want to meet them where they're at. I want to make it easy for the other person, the person I'm mentoring. I want to make it easy for them to connect with me. I'm not trying to put up barriers. And so I think, actually, first of all, I would recommend simply asking people. The reality is that sometimes it's not even generational. I have very close friends who are the same age as me. They never want a phone call. Never, ever. They're like, just text. It feels so rude to phone. These days, because I am online so often, and on screens, I want the phone call, but we're the same age. So first, I would say, just ask them, hey, what's the best way to make our plans? What's the best way for us to be in touch? So that's the first thing. Just ask each other. Don't assume. Just ask, what's the best way for us to make our plans and to connect with each other, and how frequently? Put that on the table. I think the second thing is that if you're wanting to offer, if someone comes to your mind and you just want to offer them some encouragement, everybody loves getting a text or an email or something that they can just read and go through their day, something quick. So if it's encouraging, it's relatively short, like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm thinking about you. That is great over text or WhatsApp or whatever a person is using. If you want to really get into it, if you want to, I would say, listen more carefully to a person, see if you can figure out a way to have coffee together, to go for a walk together, something like that. I think people often, they need to know that they're being heard for them to be at their most transparent. And so you want to be able to get into settings where this other person feels like they can let down their guard. They're not trying to answer a question in the middle of getting the kids to bed and preparing the lunch for the next day. So figuring out what's a good way for us to connect, for 45 minutes or an hour. And that will let people, I think, speak more openly and honestly. One more encouragement. Everybody loves it when someone else is interested in them. So be curious about people. Just ask them, hey, what's feeling really challenging today? What's energizing you, this past month? What are you, where are you really experiencing Jesus at work in your life? And where does that feel distant? Whatever it is, people love it when you're interested in them. So pull forward that curious part of you. People also like it when someone is interesting. And I actually think that's the place that mentors struggle the most. Do I have something to offer? Do I have something important to say to somebody else? And here's what I'd want to say. The best thing you're going to offer is not that you've lived your life perfectly. In fact, the opposite. Your stories of challenge, of, trying out, trusting God, and sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't. Your stories of how God has shown up in your life, that's going to be what's very, very powerful. So when you listen deeply to another person and you don't try to solve their problem, but you try to listen and then help them trust in God. And when you tell a story about where you trusted God and this is how it went, that is always of value. So if you're reflecting today, I would have you also plan and think through what are a couple questions I'm going to use when I start this mentoring relationship? And what are one or two things that you bring to the mentoring relationship that's going to be a gift to another person? You have something to give. And it's both your attention to that other person and God's story in your life.